So now it's time to stretch those hard-working muscles. So we're going to start off with a glute stretch. So to stretch the glutes, there's so many ways to do it, but I like to just sit, right? And I'm actually going to elevate myself just a little bit up on this step. And if you are tight in your hamstrings in particular, that can be helpful to elevate yourself. So you could sit higher up on a chair, and that would probably help even more, right? So I'm going to take this leg across, and it's the opposite elbow. Kind of stick that knee in the crook there, and use that arm, you can use the other one to help, to draw that leg across your body towards your shoulder. Remember what you're trying to stretch here. We're trying to stretch these guys, right? These big glute muscles here. So we're not trying to twist the back. That's a totally different exercise, right? If I start twisting my back, not necessarily bad, but it takes away from that stretch. I need to be able to breathe into that whole column, and I need this to be what is actually stretching, right? So 20 to 90 seconds should be enough. Make it gentle. If you like that big stretch feeling, maybe increase it for a little bit and then release it, and increase it and release it. That's totally fine. Another favorite technique is PNF, where you activate the muscle, so you could squeeze it and push out on your arm. So I'm pushing my arm out with my leg and then release it and draw it closer. Push it out. So you're teaching it. Now I'm on, and now stop fighting and release and draw it in. Bending this bottom leg will make that a little bit more intense, right? Totally fine. We'll do the other side. So again, it's that leg across, opposite elbow in, and draw it across. Essentially trying to keep your sit bones, right, those bones on the bottom of your pelvis, still, collarbones still, right? We still have our neutral box there, but I'm trying to draw this leg across, so it's the muscle that's attached at that sit bone that is going to get that stretch as I pull it towards the opposite shoulder. And then you can remember that optional, like, press into it and release if you want, if you like that, or just hold it maybe deeper and let go, whatever feels good to you. So that's the glutes, right? Those big powerhouse muscles. Don't worry, we got more stretches for them too. All right, so for the hamstrings, we're going to do this seated first. So again, it may help to elevate yourself. Ideally, we want to be able to be neutral in the pelvis. When we're tight in the back, in the glutes, and the hamstrings, they usually go together, we tend to be scooped under. Right, our pelvis is tilted under, and so we feel awkward trying to sit up. It kind of creates tension in our hips, fighting to hold us up against that tight hamstring. And the whole reason we're here is because the hamstring is tight. We're trying to stretch it. So that doesn't help all that much. If you need to bend your knees or sit up on top of something, or both, whatever you need to do to be able to sit just slightly forward of your sit bones. Right? So those little bones back here are back. Your glutes, right? Get the cushions off the couch. You're trying to pull them back behind you, right? Away from those sit bones, so that you're really sitting on your pelvic floor. So your pubic bone is in front of you, your sit bones are behind you, and you're sitting in the middle. So maybe you can straighten your legs there, maybe you can't. Or maybe you straighten one here and you already feel a stretch. Awesome, there's your stretch, right? And then you can switch legs like you're marching, or just choose to hold one. It's just a gentle stretch. For that muscle to release, it has to trust you, right? So it has to trust that it's not going to be pulled so far, so fast that it breaks, that it actually is a strain or a tear. So to build that trust, you need to ease into a stretch. Don't force it. You're really, with flexibility, trying to teach your brain that this muscle doesn't need to be on right now. So depending on your flexibility, maybe you could lean forward a little, maybe just one leg at a time. Whatever works for you, right? Stick to one leg, do them both, all good. 20 to 90 seconds trying to feel just the back of those thighs, nothing in the back here, no stretch in the back. So I'm not rounding forward, right? I'm just trying to maintain the alignment of my core and let these guys let go. All right. All right. So from here, we're going to do a quad stretch. So for the quad stretch on the floor, we can lay all the way down on our side, or I'm propped up on my forearm, and then we're going to grab where the shoelaces would be. I'm grabbing the top of my foot, right? And then we're going to open that back. So I'm trying to feel.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
My watch is talking to me. Trying to feel the front of that thigh. Right? Just open it up. And now I can hold this, and maybe that's all I need. Or I can push that PNF technique again. Push into that foot, right? Into that hand. And then release. So I'm trying to straighten the leg into my hand. That's going to activate the quadriceps, which straighten the legs, and then release it, let go. So I'm reminding that muscle that, oh, now I'm supposed to be on, and now I'm supposed to be off. And again, 20 to 90 seconds. Other side. And again, we can do that PNF technique, or we can just hold it, right? Just finding sort of the edge where it is a comfortably uncomfortable feeling. Feels like you're not fighting. If you feel like it's a real fight for you, go ahead and try that PNF technique where you're pushing and then releasing, and pushing and then releasing. All right, on to the calves. We're going to stay low to the ground for now. All right, so I'm just sitting. It's a little hard to see the bottoms of my feet here, but I'm trying to allow my body weight to let my heels sink towards the floor. This is that lower calf area, that soleus muscle. And it doesn't cross the knee, which is why being bent at the knees really helps to focus on that lower calf as opposed to the gastrocnemius, that larger calf muscle that lays on top of it. We'll get that later. Calves are a really important muscle to stretch if you've been doing a lot of walking and running. It's also nice to kind of roll back and forth through the feet, right? And let's see if we can tilt that camera. Right, so roll back and forth so that your toes even, right? That whole part of your foot get a little bit of a stretch. Now, I have a pretty high arch in my foot. And when I was, 30-ish or so, I sprained my ankle pretty badly. So this ankle lacks some mobility, so this is a really important one for me. All right. So that's what we're going to do. Down here, I'm going to move the camera up and we'll do some standing. All right. So I'm focusing on the lower body so I know that you can't totally see my whole self here. That's okay. So I've got a table here. I find that really helpful. We're going to reach that leg back and push that heel towards the floor. That's your calf stretch. Now I could bend the knee a little bit and then reach. So I release the stretch, right? Because that muscle attaches in the knee, and then lengthen. Right? Totally fine. Or I just hold it. Again, that 20 to 90 seconds. And then we switch. Again, take more time if you need it. Get that bend and stretch. Or just hold it. You'll figure out what feels best to you, what works best in your body. Your goal, though, is for that muscle to let go, right? To stop fighting you. It should feel really good. Right. And then for the hamstrings, again, I'm standing. I'm going to rotate, and then I get to say hello. Okay, as I rotate forward, ideally, I want the weight to shift a little bit forward in my toes. So my legs are almost vertical. I could hold on to something here, and that might help. Because again, our goal is to get these muscles to stop overworking. For most of us, and this for sure was me for a long, long time, these muscles are on all the time. So when I go to lean over, my knees bend, my butt goes back, and oh yeah, I feel a big stretch, but really, I'm just fighting against myself. I'm trying to stretch the same muscle that is holding me up and trying to stabilize my hip. So instead, I'm going to try to relax the muscles at the joint and get the pelvis to rotate over the top. So maybe this is as far as you go. Maybe going further just gets you into your back or makes you bend your knees. So then stay there, right? Find a table or a wall maybe and lean against it. You can squeeze your glutes. They fire with the hamstrings a lot, and then release. Get that to let go, and gradually, maybe, you get further over. But we're trying to maintain the alignment of your back here, right? And open up the hamstrings. So you may also feel a calf stretch depending on how flexible you are, but try not to push into your foot. Try to also let that ankle joint relax. Find that comfortably uncomfortable spot and just hang out there. All right, so again, I realize my upper body's going off screen, but for a quad stretch, I could hold on, right, for balance, grab that foot, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did before, right? I'm going to either press and release, or I'm just going to hold the stretch, whatever feels better. I can work on my balance by just putting my hand at my hip, or I can take that element away. The key is I want the front of this thigh to be able to release though. So I don't want to make it too challenging where it starts to fight me. And then switch sides. So again, we're trying to either press and release from the side. Okay, I've got my wall here to help. Press and release. Or I'm just going to try to relax and stay still. All right, coming back down a little bit. So for the chest, we can open and just do that, right? Just our body weight. Or if I have a tube or a stick, right, I can open this way, with my tubing or even a towel, right? I can take that behind and open up that chest. The key is it should feel good, just like a release. You don't want it to be a fight, like where you're forcing it, because then you're making muscles fight you in a different way. If they're pulling too hard, too fast, they're going to contract against that. And even if they're stretching and moving for you, they're not releasing for you. So they're going to fight back and contract and be just as tight, if not tighter, than they were to begin with, right? Our goal is to let that go. All right, and finally we're going to get some of those smaller muscles, right? We're going to get the triceps, so press one arm overhead. That side view. Yep, get the other one. And the forearms and the biceps, we can grab the fingers and reach the hand forward and just drop it down or lift it up until you feel the best position for you, depending on which of these muscles is the tightest. And then again, switch. Find that comfortably uncomfortable spot. Shoulders, one arm across. And the other. And then in quadruped to finish, or again, you could be at a table. I'm going to round the back, let the head fall. So I'm actually rounding my hips under, trying to open up that whole spine. And then as I move into extension here, I want to try to keep the separation of the vertebrae. So I'm trying not to shorten my spine, not to contract my back muscles, but rather to lengthen them. And go back the other way. Stretching the back of the body. And the front, right, all the way down through the abdominals. All right, there you have it. Enjoy your stretch day.